Hi, I'm Randy Altman with Post Perspective. We're here at NAB 2019, and this is Emery Wells from Frameio. Welcome.
Thank you.
I have trouble keeping up with all the updates that you guys have. I mean, it just seems like every couple of weeks you guys are always adding to your platform, Frameio. So why don't you tell everybody what Frameio is first, and then we'll jump into some of the newer additions.
Sure. So Frameio is now the world's most popular video review and collaboration platform. So we combine things like high-speed file sharing, work-in-progress review, all the kind of review and approval and communication that happens during that process, all the version management, into one nice cohesive platform.
And it's also mobile. You could.
Yep. Works on the web browser. Works. We have a mobile app. Works with our integrations with a bunch of different creative tools.
Okay. And who are the types of people that are using your platform?
So it really runs the gamut. We have a lot of individual creators and then companies like BuzzFeed and Vice and Turner Broadcasting and some movie studios. We have some Oscar-winning films that have used Frameio for dailies, like Roma this year. So it really does run the gamut. It turns out that everyone that makes video actually has a really common set of collaboration challenges. Whether you're working, with just a couple people, or you're working on a really big scale operation, you need a platform to share dailies. You need a platform to share work in progress edits. You need a platform to share a lot of the files back and forth between, editor and motion graphics artists and other vendors that you might be working with. That common set of collaboration challenges is the same. Some of the larger organizations need other things like security, and that's been a big theme for us over the past 12 months. We've invested millions of dollars into a security program, and we're now SOC 2 Type 2 compliant and TPN compliant. So that's, if you don't know anything about security compliance, which I didn't years ago, all that means is that's a signal to the market that says someone has validated that we are following a very rigorous security process, both with our software development process, with our physical security in the office, with our kind of policies and procedures of onboarding and offboarding employees, all of that stuff. So, but yeah, Frameio is really used in a really wide variety of scenarios.
Okay, well, let's jump into some of the news for the show. First thing is the developer platform. Can you talk about that? But also, big news was that you guys are integrated within Resolve 16.
Yep. Yeah. So we launched this developer platform, and now any third-party developer can go to developer.frame.io and get access to our API and build integrations, which is exactly what Blackmagic did in DaVinci Resolve. So they were our marquee launch partner for the launch of our developer platform. And now Resolve has all of the Frameio collaboration functionality right in Resolve. That means you don't have to install anything, it's just part of the application. Frameio shows up as a drive in the media browser, so you can see all of your Frameio media within Resolve. You drag and drop it into the media pool. Resolve does a really clever thing, which is they import the low-res proxy first, but in the background they're downloading the high-res original, and they do an invisible swap. So you can almost immediately work with this cloud-based media, start editing, start grading, start doing whatever you want, and then that swap happens in the background. We're also integrated into the deliver page, so you can now deliver directly to Frameio from within Resolve. And then Resolve does another clever thing, which is once you've uploaded something from Resolve into Frameio, it creates a connection between the timeline and that asset in Frameio. So now if somebody leaves comments in Frameio, they just automatically show up as a new Frameio marker type in the timeline. And again, the user doesn't have to do anything. They just pop up, boom, 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 boom. So you get this really slick, smooth, natively integrated experience, and we're super excited about it. But that's not the only partner that we launched with. We have several other partners that we launched with. We have LumaFusion with their iPad editing and iPhone editing app that has a similar integration. SilverStack, Kino, Restream.io, a bunch of great partners that we launched with, and now anybody can do the same.
And it will essentially work the same way, sort of seamlessly within
well, every integration is a little bit different, depends on what the product is. SilverStack is showing some great dailies-based workflows. Kino is showing some daily-based workflows, but it depends on what the product is.
Just before NAB, you guys announced 10 new features for Frameio.
Yep.
Do you want to just hit some of the highlights people should know about?
Sure. So we launched multi-page PDF support, so you can now collaborate on PDF documents the same way you can collaborate on video. And the reason we did that is because when you're working on video, you have to work with all these different types of creative assets. You're working with stills and audio, and then also scripts and storyboards, and they're usually in PDF format, right? So people have been uploading that stuff to Frameio, but they didn't have a way to collaborate on those documents. So now you can, obviously view the PDF, you can mark it up, you can have page-based comments and things like that, which is great. We have a whole bunch of smaller features that users have been requesting for a long time. One I'm almost embarrassed to admit we haven't had to date, which is app mentions. You know, if you're any kind of collaboration product, you got to have app mentions. It's the way that you grab someone's attention. Yeah. We finally have app mentions. We have some other nice features like version management. So we have this concept in Frameio called version stacks, which keeps all the kind of versions of edits neatly organized. But if you want to change something in that version stack, maybe you say, oh, I have 10 versions here, but I don't actually want version 5 in here. I don't want the client to see version 5. I want to remove it. You used to have to unstack the whole thing to remove that version and then restack them up. Now we have a nice little modal. You can kind of rearrange versions, you can remove versions, so that's great. We have new private comment feature. When you're, part of the challenge of building a collaboration product is dealing with, how you sort of manage who sees what and when and all of that, because this is creative work. There's a lot of sensitivities around how you share feedback and things like that. So we have this new private team comment feature, which is a way for you to have a private conversation with your internal team that your clients don't see, but it's all on the same asset. So I can be having a conversation with you, and I send out a link to review for my client, but they don't see any of our conversation. So that's
and then
great.
You just sort of click a button, and then they're allowed into the conversation, and they start saying.
Well, no.
Comments?
So there's a mode which is you choose when you're leaving a comment. Do you want everybody to see this comment, or do you want only your team to see this comment? And it changes color when it's a private comment. So this is a private. But you can have my conversation with you is right in line with my conversation with the client. They just don't see it. So that's a great feature. We're introducing archival storage. So. Archival storage is a way to send, if you're finished with a project, you right-click on that project, you send it to archive, and what we do is we archive the original high-res assets, we send that to cold storage, but we keep the proxies online. So the project itself looks exactly the same, nothing changes. You can still view the assets, you can still search the assets, you can comment on the assets, you can share the assets, but the high-res originals are sent to cold storage. And really the problem with archival is not that there aren't lots of cheap cloud storage solutions, it's, well, when I send it to archive, I have no visibility anymore. Where is it? How do I see it? How do I find it? How do I search it? How do I determine if the clip I might want back a year later is the right clip?
Yeah.
So now with Frameio Archive, you have the full visual experience of viewing, searching, commenting, all of that. It's just those originals that are sent to cold storage. And if you do want to retrieve those assets back, you hit one button to say unarchive, and they'll be available within 3 to 5 hours.
Fantastic. Well, there's a lot to learn. Where can people go to learn more about the updates for Frameio and just check out what you do?
They can go to frame.io.
It's pretty simple.
Yep.
Thanks, Emery.
All right, thank you.
Really, really good to see you again.
Thank you so much.
Randy Altman with Post Perspective. We're at NAB 2019.